Rewriting the melody, how Black women are transforming music and culture. Have you ever noticed how the most powerful songs, the ones that move us to tears, to action, to revolution, often come from voices that society has tried hardest to silence? I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Yvette Thompson, a visionary who has dedicated her life to amplifying the voices of Black women in music and cultural spaces. Yvette isn't just a thought leader, she is a cultural architect, rebuilding the foundations of an industry that has historically excluded those who look like her. With unflinching courage and radical honesty, she has created pathways where there were once only barriers, opening doors not just for herself but for generations of artists who will follow. Our conversation left me transformed, challenged, and inspired in ways I'm still processing. What struck me most about Yvette was her unwavering commitment to truth telling. She isn't just talking about change, she's orchestrating it note by note, beat by beat, creating symphonies of justice where there were once only discordant tones of inequity. The statistics tell a story we've heard before. Black and brown women remain dramatically underrepresented in music industry leadership, making up just 13.2% of board positions despite their outsized contributions to global culture. But numbers never tell the whole story, do they? Behind each percentage point are dreams deferred, voices muted, and brilliance dimmed. I want to pause here for a moment and ask you to consider what we lose when we silence these voices, what melodies never reach our ears, what perspectives never shape our understanding, what healing never happens. This isn't just about music, this is about who we allow to tell our collective stories. This is about whose joy and pain we deem worthy of the attention. This is about the very fabric of our cultural identity. But today, I'm not here to dwell in that shadow. I'm here to shine a spotlight on the revolution happening right now. A revolution led by Black women who refuse to wait for permission to take center stage. Consider Taylor Tusana, who created Atlanta's first Femme Energy Fest. After years of working behind the scenes at independent labels, feeling her own voice stifled in male dominated spaces, she envisioned something radical, a wellness focused music festival exclusively featuring women and femme performers. Imagine this scene: 300 attendees gathering not just for music, but for Pilates sessions and sound baths. Artists like Baby Tate performing in an environment designed specifically for women to express themselves fully, without compromise, without fear. This wasn't just a concert, it was a declaration that women's voices matter, that their wellness matters, that their art matters. Women are given the opportunity to shine, Tusana said of her vision, and shine they did. What makes this story so powerful isn't just what happened on that day, but what it represents: the transformation of cultural events into vehicles for healing, empowerment, and change. One festival became a template for inclusive programming throughout Southern hip hop scenes, proving that when we center marginalized voices, everyone benefits from the beauty that emerges. But changing narratives isn't just about creating new spaces, it's also about reclaiming existing ones. The Connie Orlando Foundation understood this when they hosted the inaugural Black Women in Music dinner at LA's Audrey Irma's Pavilion. This wasn't your typical industry event with the same faces receiving the same accolades. This was a deliberate gathering of established artists alongside emerging talent, creating visibility while nurturing mentorship across generations. What happened in that room transcended networking. It sparked national conversations about representation. It catalyzed new collaborations between artists seeking collective advancement. Most importantly, it challenged the music industry's narrow definition of success by celebrating Black women's creative labor beyond award shows and mainstream charts. As Yvette Thompson emphasized in our interview, these events matter because they push forward conversations about what true inclusion looks like. They demonstrate why bridging generational divides among Black creatives is vital for sustainable progress across global markets. But here's where our conversation took an unexpected turn that I can't stop thinking about. Yvette spoke passionately about how Black culture is not monolithic. There are countless ways to be Black around the world. This insight strikes at the heart of something we rarely discuss: how the diaspora experience shapes artistic expression. When we share stories of dreaming abroad, we bridge gaps between different cultures within the diaspora. We foster coexistence, empathy, and collective progress. The International Alliance for Women in Music exemplifies this global approach. They champion equity by advocating for all women, including Black and Brown creatives, in every musical discipline worldwide. Through international showcases, video spotlights, and board membership opportunities, they ensure diverse voices shape policy and programming decisions. The results speak volumes. Increased global visibility has led more organizations and festivals worldwide to adopt inclusive booking practices. More young artists see themselves reflected at every level of the industry. Their model proves that sustained advocacy plus grassroots organizing changes who gets heard, not just locally, but everywhere talented Black and Brown musicians dream, whether abroad or at home. When we connect across cultures, Yvette told me, we build bridges rather than walls between our shared experiences. This brings me to perhaps the most urgent insight from our conversation: the need to rebuild youth mindsets by offering meditation over violence. There's a crisis happening in our communities. Young people are caught in cycles of violence, often without the tools to navigate conflict in healthier ways. Yvette spoke with conviction about guiding them towards self reflection, negotiation skills, and meditation as alternatives to violence. A shift that requires community leaders to show up consistently as positive role models. I was struck by how this connects to the work happening in music spaces. When festivals like Femme Energy incorporate wellness practices alongside artistic expression, they're modeling exactly the kind of holistic approach our youth desperately need. They're demonstrating that creativity and healing aren't separate pursuits, they're interconnected paths toward wholeness. As the great Audre Lorde reminded us, caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. When Black women create spaces that prioritize both artistic expression and wellness, they're engaging in revolutionary acts of self preservation that ripple outward to transform entire communities. The wisdom of our ancestors echoes in these modern movements. I'm reminded of the African proverb: if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The initiatives Yvette described are powerful precisely because they reject individualism in favor of collective liberation. What does this mean for you sitting here today? It means we all have a role to play in this transformation. This week, I challenge you to show up in your own life or community for someone whose voice isn't always heard, not as a savior, but as an accomplice in their journey toward being fully seen and valued. If you work with young people, engage them not just with advice, but with the real tools like meditation workshops or negotiation role play sessions. Instead of lectures about what not to do, meet them where they are with compassion rather than judgment. And if you're an artist or leader or dreaming of becoming one, connect intentionally across cultures. Seek out perspectives different from your own. Listen more than you speak. Create with community rather than for community. The brilliant James Baldwin once wrote, Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. The work Yvette Thompson and others are doing forces us to face uncomfortable truths about representation, about whose art we value, about whose wellness matters in our society. But they don't stop at facing these realities. They are actively changing them, note by note, beat by beat, festival by festival, dinner by dinner. I began by asking if you've noticed how the most powerful songs often come from voices society has tried to silence. Perhaps that's because those who have been denied space know exactly how precious it is. They create not just for themselves, but for everyone who has ever felt pushed to the margins. When Taylor Tusana created Femme Energy Fest, when the Connie Orlando Foundation gathered Black women musicians under one roof, when the International Alliance for Women in Music built global networks of support. They weren't just changing the music industry, they were changing the cultural landscape for all of us. As Yvette Thompson so powerfully articulated, changing narratives isn't just about visibility, it's about fostering a sense of belonging and pride across the diaspora. It's about recognizing that when Black women thrive in music and cultural spaces, they create new possibilities for everyone who comes after them. So I stand before you today with an urgent call. We must stop treating the voices of Black women as background vocals in our cultural symphony when they deserve to be lead singers. We must recognize that their exclusion isn't just their loss, it's humanity's loss. Every time we silence a Black woman's creative expression, we rob the world of beauty, of insight, of healing. This isn't about charity or inclusion for inclusion's sake. This is about cultural survival. This is about artistic innovation. This is about creating a world where the full spectrum of human experience can be expressed and celebrated. I challenge you, regardless of your industry, regardless of your background, to examine where you might be complicit in silencing these voices. And then I challenge you to act, mentor someone, fund someone, amplify someone, create space for someone, not once, but consistently, persistently, until the exception becomes the rule. Because the revolution won't just be televised, it will be harmonized, choreographed, and produced by Black women who refuse to dim their light. And when future generations look back on this moment in cultural history, let them recognize it as the turning point when we finally allowed the full, glorious chorus of humanity to sing. The melody is changing. The question is, will you be part of the new song?